Hi, this is Ryan with Automatic Comics, and up next I've got a huge $3,000 haul that I recently picked up, so let's get into this box and see how I did. Alright, so before I get started, please remember to hit that like button and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. So, like I mentioned, I've got a big haul of comics here that I recently picked up. Spent about a little under $3,000 on it, and so we'll cut into this and we'll take a look at these books and see how I did with them. All right, so we got a box inside of a box here, so packaged really well. Alright, so there are 8 books in here. There's a mix of gold, silver, and Bronze Age books. And I think some pretty cool books. So the first one is XMen number 42. So this is kind of a later Silver Age book, 1968. It's the, quote, death of Professor X. We know he's not really dead. But this is a tougher book to get in high grade, which, you can tell. This is there's a lot of black on this cover. The spine has a lot of black on it, so spine ticks really aren't going to hide on this book. And, it is a really nice looking copy. It's definitely one that I may have to even kind of look at, because it's not the really old label, it's not the square label, but this is the older, second generation basically of label that they had for these. And so it's something that I could definitely look at and see if there's, any benefit to cracking it out. The back cover looks pretty nice. There's a little bit of this kind of like tanning or, browning down on the bottom edge here. But in general, the back cover looks real clean, and you can see, the front cover, it's pretty incredible. And you can actually, you see in that upper corner right there, see that bend? That's the kind of thing you want to look for, that is a flaw that could potentially be pressed out, that has the chance to improve the grade of a book. So that's one of the things I do with every graded book that I get in. I look at all of them closely to see if there's any possibility of improving. Now, just things that you can look for to see if there's any chance of improvement of that book and that you could resubmit and get a better grade. Now, with the huge delays currently with CGC as well as with good pressers, it's 6 to 8 months before you're probably going to get that book back at best. And so it's definitely something that if you're looking to sell a book, it may not be worth waiting that 6 to 8 months to go through that process, with the possibility that you get back the exact same grade. But just something to think about, and something I do with every book that I get in that is graded. All right, so the second book, also X-Men, but this one's from the Bronze Age, and this is X-Men number 130. And this is the first appearance of the Dazzler. It doesn't get much more, like late 70s, early 80s than this character. And but 9.4, a nice grade. It's not too expensive of a book, but it has been getting pricier. Again, a lot of black on this cover, so it can be a little harder to get in grade. But you can see here, this is how in these earlier books, the ones from the early 80s and late 70s, the ones that had the barcode with the slash through it, that means this was a direct edition. If it was a newsstand, it would have the no slash through the barcode. Next book, we're going to jump into the Golden Age, and we've got Weird Fantasy number 22. And this is it's a really nice looking cover. It's a 4.0, slightly brittle pages, so not the best page quality on this copy, but colors look fantastic. Back cover has a little rip on the side here, but in general, a really nice presenting copy. And this is the last issue of this title. It changed the title after that. I believe it's Weird Science Fantasy. So Weird Science Fantasy after this. But these are just, it's another one of these great EC titles. You know, there's these horror and sci-fi pre-code titles. You know, this is 1953. You can see there's no comic code authority or anything here yet. And so these are the types of, an example of the type of book I like to go after. You know, pre-code horror, pre-code sci-fi are just, they've really always been in demand and are getting more and more demand as time has been going on. So, you know, great books to try to pick up, these, you know, these different EC titles. All right, next one. Jumping back into the X-Men, and I've been trying to get more 9/8 of these Bronze Age X-Men books just because I think they're one of the next big areas to see kind of pops in prices. I think that they're ones that really haven't moved quite as much yet, and so that's one of the things that I'm currently, you know, going after. And this is X-Men number 139. And again, black cover, you know, can be tough to get in high grade with all that black. Now, it is a first appearance. It's the first appearance of Heather Hudson, who plays, I believe she becomes the Vindicator, an iteration of the Vindicator. But it's also when Kitty Pryde joins the X-Men. To me, that's the bigger deal with this one. I mean, it's her right on the cover there, right in the center. And so I think this is a great book with how X-Men number 129, you know, the first appearance of Kitty Pryde, has really, really jumped over the last, you know, just couple months. I think things like this, you know, where I think this might be her first cover appearance. I would have to go back and check. I'm not 100% sure, but, you know, things like first cover appearance can be the next, you know, like big books to start moving when those first appearances start getting, you know, a little too expensive. And so just a, you know, 9/8. This is, you know, it's now transitioned, you know, it's 1980 still, so the same year as this book here. So the same year. You can see this one, the direct edition, is Spider-Man's face. This one, the direct edition, is the barcode with the slash through it. So 1980 is when Marvel made that transition. All right, so I got a lot of X-Men with this one. So this is X-Men number 142, and this is the second part of the Days of Future Past story. This is also the first time that in the indicia the name of the book changes to the Uncanny X-Men. I don't know if it says that on here or not. You know, it doesn't say that on the title, but that is what it is. And this is, like I said, second part of the Days of Future Past story. I know a lot of people like X-Men 141 more. They think this is a worse cover, but I don't know. I really like this cover. You know, I think it's a pretty cool cover with the Sentinels and Wolverine just getting blasted, and I like the green cover. I think it looks pretty cool. And so this is a book that the reason I wanted to get a copy of this was this book had felt very undervalued to me. So X-Men number 141 had gone up quite a bit in 9/8. If you watched my video about the top 10 X-Men books, you saw that X-Men number 141 in a 9/8 had made significant jumps. It was around 300%, whereas this book had hardly moved at all. I think maybe it was up 100%, but I don't even think that. I think less than 100%. And so I felt that this one, you know, is primed to move, you know, is very undervalued and had been overlooked. And so I decided I wanted to get a 9/8 of this copy, because when we're talking the Bronze Age, I do really like to get 9/8s if I can. There are so many more high-grade copies of these books available. 9/8 is where I like to be, to kind of have a little bit of that extra rarity. All right, so now we're jumping back into the Golden Age, and I think this is a really cool book. So in my last market video, I talked about All-Star Comics number 10. You know, that All-Star title has a lot of key issues in it, and this is another one of those issues. And this is All-Star Comics number 15. And this is the first appearance of Brainwave. It's also, you know, like a lot of the books, it was not on purpose, but a lot of these have these black covers. And this isn't a high grade, you know, it's a 3.0, but this is a book from 1943. I'm not looking for, you know, in the 9s or 8s or 7s or anything like that. And, you know, there's tape on the cover. It says there's 2 extra staples that were added after manufacturing. So, you know, lower grade, but still a relatively nice presenting copy, minus the, you know, the person's name that they stamped on Brainwave's head. But that's another thing here. You know, I've mentioned this before, that having the first appearance of the character on the title is not common. So having that character on the title for the Golden Age is a pretty big deal. And he is one of the founding members of the Injustice Society who fought the Justice Society. And so he's not a minor character. You know, he's a pretty big character. He was also in the Stargirl show that was released recently. So he's definitely a character that's been in the mainstream. It's not, you know, kind of like a random villain from the Golden Age. And so I thought that was a pretty cool book. You know, a 3.0, nice presenting copy. And, you know, one thing I also like, I just like the back covers on these Golden Age books. I think they're, I don't know, it's a little more fun having, maybe to somebody that, you know, back in that time it was normal, but I think the ads and things on the back cover are a little more fun than like the milk ads or the Snickers ads, that kind of thing that we have on a lot of the more modern books. All right, so we're sticking with the Golden Age with this next book here, and this is a minor key within this run, and this is Walt Disney's Comics and Stories number 98, and this is from 1948. So this, you know, it's definitely later on in the run of these books, but still in the 40s, and 8.5, so, you know, a beautiful high grade copy of this book. I mean, this book really does look pretty incredible. I'll definitely take a look at it to see if there's any chance that it could be bumped up, because when you start getting up into these types of grades in these books, you start to have the chance to get some of the highest graded copies. Now, I believe there's some ones that are in like the 9.4 range with this book, so that's not going to, you know, get the top graded copy, but definitely a bump up can be a big deal in a book that's this old. But the thing that's the kind of like the minor key with this is that this is the first appearance of Uncle Scrooge in this title. Now, it's not his first appearance, but it is his first appearance in this title. So, you know, and they specifically do call that out from the top there. And so that's, you know, it is definitely a, you know, a key, minor key within the Disney universe. And I always like picking up these higher grade Disney books, these Golden Age Disney books, just because, you know, low grades you can sometimes find, you know, for relatively, you know, affordable prices, but you get up into the higher grades and, you know, they definitely become much more rare. So that, I believe, was book number 7. So we've got one more, and the last book here, this, I really like this cover. So not X-Men this time. This is Fantastic Four number 16, and it's a 6.0. It is this great red cover. You know, you've got Doctor Doom right on the cover, and this one is also kind of like a minor key in Marvel. This is the first Ant-Man crossover, and he's right on the cover up here. So, you know, you've got Ant-Man in a magnifying glass, you know, so you can see him, and this is his first crossover. And, you know, anything Doctor Doom is really popular right now. He is also, you know, one of my favorite characters. He's pretty messed up when you start reading, you know, into the history of a lot of the stuff that he's done. Like, he's not a great person, but you know, but he's got some awesome covers. You know, he's super involved in the Fantastic Four, you know, their primary, you know, biggest villain, and I think a lot of us expect to see him appear eventually in the MCU. I have no idea when. It could be 10 years from now, but, you know, I think we all think we're going to see him eventually. And I mean, I think this is just, it's a great cover. You know, it's a beautiful copy of this book, you know, 6.0. And another one of those books that I'm definitely going to have to check this one out just to see if there's any, you know, potential to boost the grade on this book, because I mean, it's a nice looking 6.0. And usually when I see that and I don't see anything jump out, you know, you think maybe there's like a stain or something like that, and I don't see any staining on the back cover. I don't see any tanning. I mean, the back cover looks pretty nice. This thing up here, this I don't believe is tanning. This little bit of, you know, browning up here, it almost looks like it's a sun shadow, but even so, even if it was a little tanning, it's hardly any. So definitely a book that I'll have to take a closer look at after and see if it's something that may be worthwhile to crack out and see if, you know, can get a grade bump with that one. So, all right, so that's all the books. You know, I spent, like I said, just a little under $3,000 on them. I think that was a great price for them, but I'm sure if anyone disagrees, they'll let me let me know in the comments. And, you know, so if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this, and I will see you in the next video.